This is Feed Your Mind, and so I came across an incredible interview with this gentleman who worked in a psych hospital. So it's like one of those psychiatric hospitals, asylum wards, and the hospital is full of people that have conditions like schizophrenia, which is the main subject of this video. The paranoid schizophrenia. Or should I say this paranoid schizophrenic. So basically, with this guy's experiences, well, he's pretty much confirming that a lot of the conditions that are diagnosed as paranoid schiz is actually demonic possession. With his experiences in the hospital, he and his interviews with the subjects, he's had a lot of one-on-one experiences with these people, and he went to school. The schools, basically, he's saying, is they don't get into anything but pretty much putting them on meds and suppressing the condition. So he said a lot of the people that are schiz they'll have voices that will try to get them to stop taking the meds. And he said the scientists will say that just ignore anything they're saying. It's all hallucinations. So the scientists say pretty much ignore the patient. Just give them the meds and be on your way. Keep it moving. So this guy actually says that. Yeah, so there's voices in their heads, in these patients' heads, they're always negative. Like he said, pretty much all of the cases they're negative voices. And one of the most interesting things that he said was when he kind of described, like, if you saw that Venom movie where the Venom and Carnage and all those symbiotes they'll share the body with the person. So in the Venom movie, so basically, Eddie Brock would pretty much be sharing his body with this Venom entity, and the Venom entity will have conversations with them, and it will actually come out of his body and present himself to him, so he can literally see the entity and have a conversation with it. So that's exactly what this guy described. Like these patients will, after a while, some of them will actually be able to interact with these entities that live in them, and they'll be able to see them. He said a lot of times in the earlier stages, the entities will, they'll try to trick the patient first. So before it gets to that point where, it's actually manifesting before them and they can actually interact with the being, before that, it takes a while. It's a long process where they try to, they earn the trust of the patient for a long time. They'll try to actually do the opposite of revealing itself to them. Before it gets to that point, the entity will like to make the patient think it's their own thoughts that they're hearing. They'll like to tell the patient a lot of things, and but as if it's themselves talking to themselves. Like the voice will say to do this or do that, and or don't take those meds, or they're trying to they're trying to poison us with those meds so that they can try to get them off the meds. And so the entity will do a lot of that stuff. The patient pretty much has no idea if it's themselves or if it's or if it's something else living in them. And then the entity just keeps getting stronger and stronger, and it actually can reveal like some type of psychic abilities to the patient. It'll be like, so it can tell the patient things. So that's where, I wonder if that's where we get like the psychics, the ones, I wonder if they're paranoid schizo where they actually have these entities in them, but they embrace it. Maybe some of these psychics and mystics and fortune tellers and the ones that tell the future and all that, they might have embraced these entities in them, because he did what this guy described is that a lot of these entities can tell the patient things that nobody else would have known. So they can kind of guide them to do things, but a lot of the things they want them to do is usually negative things. So it's not really a very good thing to try to to embrace. But he even went as far as to say, so he's had some experiences with these patients that he came across testimony that some of them tried to take themselves out because they couldn't take it anymore, and the thing wouldn't let them take themselves out. There's been more than one incident with several patients that he's heard these stories where, yeah, they tried to just off themselves, and things would happen to where they wouldn't be allowed to. It was like it saved them from being taken out. And some, it was the opposite, where the entity tried to get them to take themselves out. So, this guy also revealed how these entities can pretty much, it's pretty much possession from what I've uncovered. There was another pretty interesting thing that he had said was, well, the entities like to get them to behave in a way where it isolates the patient, where, where they can't be around others. It tries to, if they're in a relationship, it tries to break them up with their significant other and get them alone and secluded. And he's also linked this stuff to nightmares, and I believe a few other things. It's a pretty intense and insane interview. Like, you got to check this out if you're interested in this subject, because this interview is epic. It's like it's probably like an hour or two, the interview, and then he goes into great detail about what he's discovered dealing with these patients one-on-one. He said he pretty much realized that the science community is not interested in figuring this stuff out. They will shun you and remove you from your career if you try to alert them about any of this stuff. He said that things basically the science community is just not on board with this whole thing. So it reveals a lot, like how important it is to get to the point where the science community just realizes the truth about this world. That's why it's so important with the stuff about this earth, when we figure out that this is not a globe earth, because that will start unlocking the minds of the scientists so they can finally realize that they've been wrong about what they thought this whole time about this world. Then we can start to get into, then the scientists can start to really explore other solutions and realize and find other connections. It wouldn't be where they would just dismiss discussion about paranoid schizos, a portion of them being actually possessed. And he did a survey with them, and he said a lot of them have concluded that they are possessed. Some of them even have more than one voice inside of them. And so these voices just, he said they get stronger in the patient after a while, and their attitudes can change. And for some of them, it sounds pretty unbearable. So, yeah, this is definitely an interview you might want to check out. So I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box. If you support this channel, I'll leave a link for that as well. You can donate to this channel to help keep Feed Your Mind online. Also, I'll leave a link for my social media and my other channels that you can subscribe to. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind signing off.